This is CNN Breaking News.
Breaking news just into CNN. The sheriff's office in San Diego County has confirmed one man has been detained for questioning in connection with a shooting incident at a synagogue. Again, this is in San Diego County. We've confirmed that at least one person has been transported to the hospital at the Palomar Medical Center in Poway. We also understand that this took place at the Chabad of Poway Synagogue, according to the San Diego County Sheriff's Office. I want to bring in James Galliano. He's a CNN law enforcement analyst. And James, we have very little information, obviously, at this point. But what stands out to all of us is the fact that this is yet another violent shooting incident at a place of worship.
Yeah, and you've really got to be careful. We always do in the immediate aftermath of events like this to make sure we wait till we get all the facts in. But gosh, to your point, it just seems like there's been a proliferation of this in the last few months, if not in the last few years, where places of worship, whether it's mosques in Christchurch, New Zealand, or the Christian churches last weekend in Sri Lanka, and now here we are in San Diego with something similar. Now, again, very early, too early to tell right now. Police have not released any details. This could be anything. It could be a domestic dispute. It could be anything. So we've got to be real careful before we label it anything. But we just hope that I think 4 people were taken to the hospital right now. We hope that there aren't any more fatalities.
And obviously, as the investigation is just getting going, what do you think law enforcement's working on right now?
Well, remember, the first thing is you want to make sure that you interdict the bad guy. So whoever did this, obviously, taken into custody, and then make certain that there are no accomplices. That is first and foremost. We want to do that before anything else. The investigation, the potential prosecution down the road, those are all things we do in the aftermath. The first thing is to make sure that there are no more viable threats out there. So if a person is taken into custody, it is to question them and to find out if there are any devices, if there's any more weapons out there, any more accomplices, people providing aid or material support. That's what police want to do initially. Beyond that, then it becomes piecing together what exactly happened. And obviously in the 21st century, there is so much out there to look at, from social media to all different types of technological or digital footprints that human beings have right now. We can't walk out of our house and open up a cell phone without it being tracked or triggered somewhere. So I'm sure that police are doing that. Again, the first thing they want to do is make sure that there's no more ongoing threat, and then from there move into the process of figuring out who did this and the motivation. That's so key in these law enforcement events like this, is determine what the motivation is and whether or not there's any other potential threat going forward.
Stand by. I want to bring back Ryan Young now. He's CNN national correspondent working to gather more details. What have you learned, Ryan?
Yeah, we're absolutely trying to see what's going on here. We do know this is in Poway, about 35 minutes outside of San Diego in the foothills. What we know so far is police have detained one person for questioning, but I think it goes beyond to say exactly what the last person was saying is they're going to obviously be looking in the area to make sure that the area is clear first. You see the fact that this has popped up in a synagogue. And I was actually talking to some sources earlier this afternoon on another story, and they were telling me they were really worried about some of the chatter they've been hearing across the country in terms of things that may be happening in terms of white supremacy, some other sort of goals across the country. And I was actually given a warning today from a source that just said, hey, be on the lookout for any kind of strange situations. Not saying that this is connected at all, but this is, when you look at it, the fact that some people could have been shot at this synagogue 35 miles outside of San Diego. You understand the law enforcement going there in large number. I've been trying to get in contact with some friends who I know in California who work in the law enforcement just to try to see what they've learned so far from the federal level to see if they're going to be assisting in the next 25 minutes or so.
Okay, I do have a tweet I want to share with our viewers. This is from local law enforcement in this area, confirming a man has been detained for questioning in connection with a shooting incident at the Chabad of Poway Synagogue. Deputies were called there just before 11:30. There are injuries. They call this a developing situation. We're working to gather more information for all of you at home. Ryan Young, thank you, as well as James Galliano. Please stay with us as we take a quick break and work to gather more details. Much more in our breaking news as CNN continues. We're back with our breaking news. The sheriff's office in San Diego County confirming one man is detained right now for questioning in connection with a shooting incident at a synagogue in Poway. The sheriff's office confirms there are injuries. One local hospital has been told to expect as many as 4 patients. Josh Campbell, CNN's law enforcement analyst, former FBI special agent, is with us now. Josh, your take in terms of the information that we have.
Well, it's still early right now, and the notion that the authorities have detained someone obviously is good news. We haven't heard from them yet that they believe this person is the actual suspect. We don't know if this is one people, if this is more people, obviously hoping that this is localized. What you mentioned there with the hospital is standard procedure now in these incidents, as hospitals are very much involved in the training for active shooter situations, and once a call comes that there's a person with a gun, they go on alert and prepare to receive patients. Right now we're hearing 4. Again, we don't yet know if that number will go up or the status of those patients, but obviously we'll continue to check our sources on that, Anna.
Yeah, and we don't know, again, the motivation of this shooting, only confirming that law enforcement was called to reports initially of a man with a gun. We also understand that the first calls came in around 11:30 their local time, obviously not very long ago. It's unclear right now if this is an ongoing type of threat. However, they do call it a developing situation, Josh.
They do indeed. And again, we're waiting for that final word from law enforcement that they have someone in custody that they believe was responsible. And again, lost on no one is the nature of the location here, this being a house of worship. Obviously, you know, we've had a number of incidents in recent memory involving hatred, involving people acting with violence based on their own beliefs. We don't yet know what the full circumstances are here. But again, we can't lose sight of the fact that that is this location, this being a house of worship. We can also expect to hear from authorities if they believe that there's someone that might be on the run. And this is standard operating procedure as well. If they detain someone, if they determine that this isn't someone that's a suspect, that means that there may be someone still at large, in which case they will be trying to crowdsource, use the larger public to try to gather information on where this person might be. Again, we're so in the early stages right now, we don't yet have that information, but obviously we're awaiting updates from authorities.
They are asking people to stay clear of the area in one of the tweets that was sent out. So if they're on the ground doing their checks and balances in terms of making sure that this area is locked down and that there isn't an ongoing threat. Josh, walk me through what law enforcement on the ground is doing right now.
Yeah, so law enforcement will own the scene as they show up, and they'll establish a large enough perimeter that they believe that they need sufficient enough to conduct the investigation. Again, there are a lot of factors that are there. If there's still an ongoing threat, they'll obviously keep a wide perimeter. They don't want to endanger others who might be in the vicinity. But then also there's this large-scale investigation that will have to take place inside a house of worship. If you have people that are there, witnesses that law enforcement officers need to talk to, they need to talk to every single person that was there to try to figure out what they saw. Did they know the person? Again, is the person that they have detained actually the person responsible for the shooting? All that will be taking place. So this place we can expect will be in a state of lockdown for the foreseeable future as law enforcement assets are on scene trying to go through, look at not only the forensic examination of any shell casings, for example, again, try to determine what it is that they're dealing with, but then also go through those witnesses, talk to each one and gather as much information as they can.
Okay, again, the latest information we have, one man detained, at least one person has been transported to the hospital, perhaps as many as 4. The local hospital officials have been advised could be on the way. Again, the sheriff's office confirming now that there was a report of a man with a gun. Officers responded around 11:30 this morning local time, so a little over an hour and a half ago, I suppose. And what we're learning is this is happening at the Chabad of Poway Synagogue. That's just outside of San Diego. We'll continue to gather more information and bring it to you just as soon as we have it. Another quick break. We'll be right back.